Hello all, and welcome to episode 19 of the Mindbreeze podcast, Illuminating Information. In this episode, we will speak about how AI will unleash the power of industrial data. Fabasoft Approve, an internal manufacturer of document and quality management software for the industrial sector, cooperates with Mindbreeze to bring the power of AI into enterprises. Cross-company processes connect internal and external project partners on a common platform and, supported by AI, digitally map the entire information lifecycle for industrial products. Numerous major international companies from the mechanical and plant engineering sector rely on the cloud-based product Approve on Fabasoft Prosecco as a shared data environment in their digitalization strategy. To share the insights, we welcome our guest, Andreas Dangl, entrepreneur and CEO of Fabasoft Approve. Andreas, thank you so much for joining us today.
Welcome. Hello.
Now, to start this podcast off, can you explain some of the current challenges that industrial customers have to solve?
Yes, there are indeed numerous challenges. On the one hand, technology gets more and more complex, not only for the products or the plants, for example, they construct, but also the relationship between the suppliers. The data has to be exchanged. So this is a really complex system and a lot of information that has to be handled. Just to explain it maybe on an example customer of us, Siemens Energy, for example, creates power plants. Yeah? And such a power plant, the documentation, the technical and quality documentation is several hundred thousands of documents. And these documents, of course, contain important information about the power plant and has to be provided by suppliers and sub-suppliers. So on the one hand, the orchestration of all this information is essential, but even more, getting out the data that is in these documents in a valuable way so that they can do the actual planning, construction, maintaining processes for such a power plant. Moreover, there is also very high legal requirements, especially when you, of course, build things like power plants. This cross-company collaboration I already mentioned is very, very complex. Of course, such a system like Fabasoft Approve is not set up in a green field. There are many other applications that provide data that have to be integrated that also have to be taken into account.
Well, that's very interesting insights, and I appreciate the high-level overview and understanding from that perspective. Now, building off of that and drilling a little bit deeper, how does Approve contribute to the solution from a more detailed and maybe a deeper answer? Are you able to give us a more detailed insight and deeper dive into what you just went over?
Sure, yes. So basically, Fabasoft Approve is a full-featured document management and quality management system. This gives us perfect functionality to handle even large amount of documents combined with data, and especially I explained it in the previous answer. Technical data is very essential to identify which document belongs, for example, to which machine or to which plant and so on. And that's basic requirements that we fully implement with Fabasoft Approve. The next thing is, of course, if you have information, it's not only of storing information, but it's really a matter of performing business processes, workflows on these documents. So we have a full-featured model-based workflow engine that allows our customers to integrate in their workflows, in their processes, not only internal departments, internal organizations, but especially the externals, the suppliers and sub-suppliers, to get a trackable view of the status of each piece of information. And all these together, of course, due to the complexity, must be handled in an easy-to-use, user-friendly user interface so that you don't confuse yourself. And I think all these requirements, apart many others like role-based security models and other things, are handled with Fabasoft Approve in a very excellent way. At least this is the feedback of our customers. And so giving that another aspect is very essential for us. So we offer our solution, our software as a service. That means we have no complex IT infrastructure to be integrated into existing landscapes. We can jumpstart right immediately when a project starts. And also, of course, allowing to fulfill really these requirements of integrating externals into business processes. That's very essential, but since you are now software as a service and our customers are large enterprise customers, they have their existing IT landscapes. So what is also a must-have is to be easily integratable into other applications, especially SAP. So all our customers have SAP as their ERP system, and this is also one of the strengths of our solution.
Well, that's really insightful, and I appreciate you diving a little bit deeper and explaining that to our audience. Now, I mentioned this at the top of the podcast as well. AI is a pretty big buzzword right now. It seems like everybody is talking about it. Our customers in particular are super interested in it. Now, I appreciate you going over the overview of everything, but how does AI play a big role into this? How can our customers solve these modern day problems with modern day solutions such as AI?
Yeah, for us, of course, as software vendor, but especially for our customers, AI is a very big thing. They have different topics, if not to say problems. I already mentioned the complexity, the enormous amount of data that has to be handled, and to leverage the knowledge that is in all this information is a real challenging task. On the other hand, also, many of our customers suffer from losing experts on certain functional areas due to fluctuation or retirement. That means the knowledge is basically there. It's in documents, it's in data, in various systems, but it's very cost intensive and work intensive to leverage that knowledge. And that's where, of course, our AI use cases really help our customers to solve these problems of transferring knowledge that is available in a digital form. Not only to be retrieved in a chat like ChatGPT, because this really doesn't support the process really, but to really integrate such functionality in workflows. And I can give you an example that might be helpful to understand what we are doing. So I mentioned that we have, of course, all this information, for example, about a power plant, and are also a quality management system. So we do quality management processes, like processes for complaints management. Yeah? And you might figure out that there are many complaints in the area or issues when you construct a power plant. So not when it is in production, but during the setup and in the whole planning and so on. So there are thousands or hundreds of thousands of such issues that have to be handled, and they not only have to be handled, but there has a process to be followed. For example, a so-called 8D process. So a process that describes certain steps, 8D, so 8 steps, to handle such a process and to generate a report in the end so that you can improve yourself or create actions to prevent such issues in the future. Standard quality management. And what we now do is that since we have the whole knowledge, for example, of a power plant in our system, of course, when an issue occurs, for example, in outgoing goods or in incoming goods control, then we can match the description of a failure to the knowledge that we have have in the system, and especially, and that's a very important thing, identify similar issues that might have been occurred in other projects or in the same project, to eliminate the work that has to be done to really identify all the information that is required to handle such an aspect. That starts with simple things in such an 8D process. For example, a team has to be defined. So who is responsible? There are 8 roles to be defined. And if you consider an organization like Siemens Energy with 90,000 employees, it's often not really easy to identify who will be the most educated and perfect expert to handle a thing. And therefore, since we know who is an expert, who has already handled issues, for example, with a similar topic, we can suggest team members for handling another issue, and this alone dramatically reduces these administrative purposes. And then, of course, there are really technical details to describe. So what actions have to be performed, a root cause analysis has to be performed, and there always we do a match between existing already handled issues with the knowledge that we have in our system, and offer that really in the process. Unfortunately, this is a podcast, so I cannot show it because it's really dramatic in a demo, and I would everybody invite who hears this podcast to get in touch with me so that I can show this to you, because this really shows how easy it is to leverage AI technology, not in the classic way that you might have in mind with chatting with a tool or with information like ChatGPT, but really integrate that into use cases. And we have several others. I just want to mention one because this is also used throughout our customer base. Is the identification. So normally when you chat with a tool like ChatGPT, you type in an answer, then you get a question, then you get an answer. Yeah, but our customers told us, hey, 90% of our questions are standardized. So why should we type in those questions? We just want to get the answers for these standard questions during the workflow. So the system just shall ask the artificial intelligence and present the result directly there where I need it. Yeah, and these are improvements over this general, or just to leverage a technology like AI, really in use cases that help customers then doing their job better. And often they even don't know that there is AI behind, because they do their work as usual, but actually dramatically faster because they have the information at their fingertips.
I think what's so fascinating about what you just described there is AI in and of itself. There's so many different facets, there's so many different things that AI can do. Just the word AI doesn't seem descriptive enough anymore. You know, you talked about the utilization of AI for more than just a chatbot or more than just what we expect for ChatGPT. And I think that that's so insightful when we talk about our conversation today when it comes to AI, because AI isn't just one thing. AI is so many things. You did share a lot of information there, and all of that information was fantastic. But for companies listening today, for customers, for prospects, for any enterprise business that is interested in AI and wants to get a handle on this knowledge base, I guess what would you recommend? What would your recommendation be to industrial companies who want to get started and want to be introduced to an AI-based process?
Our recommendations to our customers or potential customers always is to really start with a proof of concept project in a very specific area that's maybe one of the pain points of the customer, because what is essential when you want to leverage AI technology is that also we as a partner of a potential customer need to understand the requirements in depth, the pains that customers have in depth, so that we can train and optimize AI technologies to their process. The good story here is that we with Fabasoft Approve have a modeling framework where we can basically use interactive tools, visual designers, to design workflows and integrate AI capabilities basically on the fly. So such a proof of concept is not a 2-year project. Typically you can handle such a project in a couple of days or maybe 2 or 3 weeks, where we really can prove, and that's why it's called a proof of concept, for a specific use case how the result would look like. Of course, we then can further develop and integrate more systems and extend the functionality, but having such a proof point, I think, is something that often customers are missing from when they talk about AI. Yeah? They invest, they don't actually know where to go, and don't know the objectives they want to achieve. And that's basically what we solve with this proof of concept aspect, that we really go to the customer, understand his requirements, understand his objectives, and that's of course the benefit of Approve, being able to deploy or deliver really a use case where the end user can experience with Approve and the integrated AI use cases immediately. And that's the way we do it. And then, of course, we can roll out, the customer has enough information to evaluate whether the cost-benefit ratio is good for him, and that gives a trustful relationship between us as a vendor and our potential customers.
Thank you so much for that overview, Andreas. And as you mentioned at the top of this call and throughout this podcast as well, please, if you are interested in Fabasoft Approve, please don't hesitate to reach out. We would love to be able to give you the opportunity to show you how this product can be a game changer for your enterprise.
It was a pleasure for me, yes, and as Johnny said, get in touch with me. You reach me via LinkedIn, Andreas Dangl. I'm pleased to show you what I've explained in detail, and I hope we can find a way to each other.
We want to thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Illuminating Information, and we will see you next time.